Yo, what's up guys? So, in this video, I will be going over the patch notes for tomorrow's update for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. It will be dropping tomorrow, December 12th at around 0 to 2, which is 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. PST, which is 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern Time, which I'm on the East Coast. Now, of course, I've already read through it. I've already formed an opinion. Just to save some time, my opinion is, let's say there was a scale of unhappy, neutral, and happy. I am more towards neutral, towards unhappy, like slightly unhappy. There are a lot of things that I just don't really like, and there are some things that needed to be acknowledged, and they just didn't acknowledge it, and it ran rampant in the tournament. And like, why did they not acknowledge the issue? So, you will see like the Trunks step-in mechanic. No mention of Trunks in this whole patch notes. So, yeah, I don't. That was one of the most broken mechanics throughout the tournament. So maybe it's an intended mechanic, and Trunks is just supposed to have that. But on a side note, I recorded a ton of gameplay and potential character spotlights already, and I have yet to edit them. And with these changes, I might have to re-record them. So I might just edit those videos, triple upload, quadruple upload these next 2 or 3 days, and then just re-record the videos, because I don't want to upload a character spotlight video with gameplay from a week old, from like the old game. It's just gonna be awkward. Without further ado, let's start discussing, analyzing, if you will, the patch notes. Like I said, I've already read through them, so I'm not gonna be giving, this isn't a live reaction. This isn't gonna be half-assed opinions. I'm going to explain and show why I feel the way that I do. Game mode adjustments. Battle. All stages are now available in offline P1 versus P2 battles. I don't know why this wasn't a thing from release. Maybe someone who knows about like coding for games or game design could explain why they couldn't release all stages for player versus player offline mode. Okay, next thing, functionality adjustments. Battle setup. A function allowing you to change a character's display method has been added. The My Sets function has been added for team members. So this is like what people call a loadout. So you have preset teams, so you don't have to keep choosing your team members again. You can change the character's display method. So they will have a drop-down menu. So for example, if you want to play Frieza, first form Frieza, if you click on him, you will have a drop-down of all his forms. So it'll be a little more seamless. I do think they are implying that you could change it, allowing you to change. So you could keep the old menu style or change it to this new style, which I actually did not mind the old menu style because I play DP battle. So having all of the characters displayed on screen and then organizing them from like ascending or descending DP and just seeing every single character's DP, it was nice. So I really didn't mind the current style they have, but I totally understand why people wanted this change, especially since in the old games they had this drop-down menu style. Rank/player match. You can now skip the intro battle animations. Requires both players to input the skip command. At this point, I've gotten so used to it that I probably won't even skip it. It's like the calm before the storm. I'm gonna be that asshole that makes you sit through the intro every single match. And it's nice for my videos too. I think it adds a nice little touch. You get to see the intro, and like I said, it's the calm before the storm. But maybe if I'm frustrated, I'll skip it. Who knows? Player match. You can now set your team to hidden or revealed to your opponent when editing your team. This will be fun, especially in player match, so you could see if the guy is sweating on you or not. There have been many times where I join a lobby and they probably see I'm Z rank and they think, oh, this guy's gonna be super sweaty. Let me use a hyper meta team on him, and I just pull up with one Frieza soldier. So it's like, yeah, this is a great change. Now people could see whether or not you want to sweat on them. Custom battle mode. Text can now be sorted alphabetically. I know a lot of people were asking for this. I've never played custom battle, so I don't know. Yeah. Options. You can now set the battle camera distance to be closer. So I guess this is like a FOV, a field of view slider, which I guess could be good if you set the camera to be close enough. You could probably react faster to some things. Okay, now we get to the juicy stuff. Battle system adjustments. High-speed Dragon Dash, new action. So this is a new mechanic. The new quick movement action, High-speed Dragon Dash, where you can move quickly towards your opponents, has been added. Perform with R2 and holding X, PS5 or RT and holding A, Xbox Series X or whatever. I think this is with standard controls. So for me, a classic Chad, this would be LT. So what a lot of people had issue with was this dashing was not that fast. So they probably added a new mechanic. Well, not probably, they definitely did, where if you dash towards them and hold dash, well, I just pressed it twice, but if you just dash towards them, hold it, it will be much, much faster. Hopefully it's fast enough to catch people. But yeah, a lot of people complained that this dashing towards people was very, very slow. So yeah, it's great that they added a new mechanic where if you just hold this, it'll be quicker. Smash attack. You will no longer be stunned when being hit by a rush ki blast when charging a smash attack. I've never noticed this. I always felt like whenever I charged my smash attacks, ki blasts never really staggered me, because you do gain like super armor when you charge a smash attack. Maybe they buffed it so that and once you start it up, you can't be stunned, because I know you were able to get staggered like in the very beginning of the animation, but when it's charged, you will gain a lot of super armor. When charging a smash attack during a rush attack, charge time reduction based on hit count has been increased. So this is a pretty big change. This will increase like combo variety and change the way a lot of people play. So if you look at Cooler's charged smash attack, right? It charges in that one speed, and when you're attacking someone, there's no difference in the charge time it takes. But now with the change, with every subsequent attack that you do, the charge time will increase, so it'll be much, much faster, which is great for some characters, because some characters take forever to charge their smash attack. Turles, for example. So if you see Turles' smash attack takes forever to charge. I wonder if this mechanic will apply to charged rush chains like this. You can see this takes forever to charge. It takes a long time to charge. So it would be cool if they apply that mechanic also to rush chains, because you can see every character that has a slow charged smash attack also has a slow charged rush chain attack. So it will be interesting to see if this mechanic applies to every charged attack. Rush ki blast. The time between being able to fire the next rush ki blast after firing the maximum consecutive amount at once, different for each character, has been increased. So this is a great change. I love this. This ki blast spam, especially in sparking mode, was a major issue. It was just created a lot of lockdown and was very powerful for characters that had unblockable ultimates, such as Broly. It was also a major issue on the in the online qualifier tournaments, where people would just use Sword Trunks and just use his unblockable ki blast, and was able to do a lot of damage because you couldn't block his ki blasts. As you can see, he has a full ki gauge, and he's just able to, even not in sparking mode. You can see there is a small cooldown, but the cooldown isn't long enough to the point where I'm able to switch out comfortably. And something like that is even more powerful in sparking mode. So I'm glad they nerfed that, and not nerf it, but it was like that in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, where there was a cooldown, so you couldn't really spam your ki blasts as crazily as you can in Sparking Zero. Rush ki blast deflection. You can now move while deflecting rush ki blasts, which this is a great change as well. When you were deflecting ki blasts, you were locked down. You couldn't move. You could move around and then deflect, but if you were staying still and deflecting, you were locked down, and that's how a lot of people open others up, including myself, and that's how a lot of, like, for example, Broly players would set up their unblockable ultimate. And you could see right here an example of it. I start deflecting and I can't, I'm just locked in place. Although I do find spacing to Dragon Dash. So before the update, that's how I would counter it. When I had spacing, I would use a Dragon Dash, and that Dragon Dashing is immune to ki blasts. So if it's still an issue in this update where you still get locked down even though you can move around a bit, just Dragon Dash around. If you Dragon Dash, you're immune to all Ki Blasts, except for Trunks' standing still, the Sword Ki Blasts. Steps. You will no longer be able to be hit by certain attacks immediately after performing a step. Rush Ki Blast and Smash Ki Blast can now also be evaded. Now, this is one of the things I'm not very happy with. I feel like the step mechanic was already pretty strong. It had a lot of invincibility frames. It sounds like they added more iframes to it. And I wonder how strong it will be at dodging Ki Blasts. Maybe you could still catch them with Ki Blasts. It'll probably just dodge one. But yeah, these patch notes are pretty ambiguous. It's not specific on how strong or how great of a buff or nerf some things are. But I don't think stepping needed a buff. I think step-ins needed a fix because it is quite glitchy. Like, let's say, for example, when we're on the ground and I'm pretty close to him. If I do this, like, are they going to fix this? I don't know if they're going to fix it. I guess adding more invincibility frames is nice. But, like, this is what really needed acknowledgement. Not a buff to the mechanic. They needed to fix certain things with it, and they just didn't even acknowledge it. This would have been fixing. This would have been the way to go, not adding more iframes. And I understand adding invincibility to some Ki Blasts, but if it's like invincible to the whole set of Ki Blasts, that's a little too strong in my opinion. Z-Burst Dash. Now this is the part I'm most unhappy with. The amount of Ki consumed when activating has been increased. Now they're not saying the amount it's increased by. Hopefully it's at most just 1 Ki bar. It's probably only going to be increased by 1 Ki bar. So a total of 2 Ki bars to do a Z-Burst Dash. Yeah, I'm not really happy with that because this was the best way to close distance and pressure your opponent to stop them from switching. I guess they want the new approach mechanic to be the high-speed Dragon Dash as opposed to the Z-Burst Dash, which in BT3 I feel like when I played BT3 I never used the Z-Burst Dash. I always just dash towards my opponents. So maybe they're trying to make the movement system a little more like BT3 now. Yeah, I don't know. This is going to hurt my gameplay a ton, so that's probably why I'm unhappy with it, because I depended on Z-Burst Dash a lot. I depended on Z-Burst Dashing for resets as well. I depended on it for closing distance. So hopefully the high-speed Dragon Dash will be fast enough to approach people, because nerfing this, making it cost more, is indirectly buffing some things, right? So let's say we're at this distance, right? And Broly has enough for Instant Spark. I could stop him from going Instant Spark by Z-Burst Dash at him. But since it will cost 2 Ki bars now to close that distance, I probably won't have enough time to stop him. So you'll see in the patch notes they do nerf how much it costs to do an Instant Spark. But now that it costs 2 Ki bars to do a Z-Burst Dash, there's really not any way to close the distance other than the high-speed Dragon Dash, which I hope it's fast enough to approach someone, which I don't think it's going to be so fast that you could just approach them from across the map. That would be insane. But 2 Ki bars to approach someone from across the stage is a little much. It's a lot. And having the Z-Burst Dash cost 2 Ki bars is also indirectly buffing characters with super armor, right? One of the easiest ways to open up characters with super armor was just to simply Z-Burst Dash at them and hit the Z-Burst Dash attack. But now, if it will cost 2 Ki bars, it costs a lot of resources just to be able to stagger someone with super armor with a low DP character. Of course, if you're close to someone, you can just do step-ins. Well, they did buff the step-in mechanic, so maybe step-in gut punch will help. But not everyone has a gut punch, right? You could probably do a step-in low sweep now instead. But my favorite way of opening up people with super armor before was doing a Z-Burst Dash. So things will change pretty dramatically on how you deal with characters who have super armor now. Probably have to do step-ins a lot more often. And they did say that step-ins will dodge some ki blasts, and the reason why I never really did the sidestep and low sweep to stop people with super armor was because ki blast would catch me. So maybe the new way will be to use a sidestep or a step-in. But previously, my favorite way was to use the Z burst dash, but probably can't do that anymore because it costs 2 ki bars. But the bad thing about it costing 2 ki bars will now be that if you're pretty far from each other, it will cost a lot of resources to close that distance. But another thing with Z burst dash and costing 2 ki bars is that it might indirectly nerf androids, because androids cannot charge their ki. So before, it was dangerous for them to have less than 1 ki bar because they wouldn't be able to close the distance with the Z burst dash. Now androids can't be under 2 ki bars because then they don't have a tool to close the distance. So increasing the amount it costs for a Z burst dash is probably going to indirectly nerf androids, because now androids have to be even more careful with ki that they cannot charge. They have to sit there and wait. Burst smash. Ki will no longer be consumed when activating it and will instead consume an amount based on the distance traveled. So what a burst dash is it's a part of the follow-up for the knockback chains. So if you do this, and then you do a dash, and then if you press triangle, this is a burst smash, or burst whatever. And it costs 1 ki bar to do it, as you will see. Let me show again. Yep, you see it costs 1 ki bar, and that's the reason why I never used it. So it's great that they just made it consume ki based on distance. So it just adds more combat variety, and it seems like they want the combat to be more knockback chains, which is not my favorite. I like throwing hands. I don't want to deal with more knockback chains. Blast. Damage has been increased when using a boost. This is good because boosting costs 1 ki bar. I don't know if a lot of people know that. I see a lot of people, they just boost their super whenever they can, but boosting, I never boosted my supers unless they were like within kill range, and even then it was like kind of like eh. But boosting your super makes it cost 1 extra ki bar, and the boost is not significant whatsoever. Let's compare the damages now. So let's do a boosted first, right? So let's do Turles' Kill Driver. As you see, it costs 3 ki bars. You will see once I boost it, it will cost 4.
This is it!
And that does 7970. Let's compare the default unboosted super.
This is it!
A 10% increase. Not really worth it for 1 ki bar. So it's good. I wonder how much they're increasing it by. 20% might be a good amount. 15% is a good amount as well. Z-Search. So this is a big mechanic that needed fixing and everybody complained about. Z-Search will no longer lose track of your opponent when characters are swapped. I've never had this issue of anything I swap my characters to instantly lock on. So I don't... Maybe these patch notes were translated from Japanese, so there might be a misinterpretation going on. You will now quickly regain sight of your opponent if they enter your line of sight from the front when Z-Search is not locked onto them. Hopefully this doesn't nerf stuff like Solar Flare or Instant Transmission, because those skills were really strong because of how bad the Z-Search mechanic was. So yeah, hopefully buffing the Z-Search doesn't indirectly nerf Solar Flare or Instant Transmission, because those were some underutilized skills, and if they get nerfed because Z-Search got buffed, then it would just suck even more. And the Goku archetypes here, or all the Goku characters who have Instant Transmission, yeah, will also suck even more. I don't think Goku's a great character in this game. So yeah, hopefully the Z-Search being buffed doesn't make Instant Transmission and Solar Flare worse, which I think those two skills are very, very good skills. They're just underutilized. Z counter, which is vanishing. The input window has been shortened, so now it will be more difficult to input a vanish. Now, does this apply to all kinds of Z countering? Because when you Z counter a smash attack, such as like a rush chain, like a gut punch, is it more strict? Because that could be very, like, that will increase the skill ceiling by a lot, because vanishing rush chains is very important for defense. If they made it more difficult to vanish the rush chains, that's a massive change, and I don't know how I feel about that. But maybe this is only referring to Vanish Wars. Z counter will become more difficult to perform if performed consecutively. So this is talking about Vanish Wars, because if performed consecutively. So it will become more difficult as time goes on, which is great, I guess. Now you have to actually use visual cues instead of timing, unless, well, you could probably learn the timing with each consecutive vanish. I'm not sure if Z counter is specific to Vanish Wars, or if when I'm talking about vanishing a rush chain, if that's called a high speed movement. The nomenclature of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, there's a lot of different terms. So yeah, I don't know if Z counter is purely referring to Vanish Wars. Ki consumed has been increased when successfully performing a Z counter. Again, this is quite ambiguous. I don't know how much. If it's half a key bar, that's cool. If it's one whole key bar, that's a lot. But if it is one whole key bar, then it will make Vanish Wars last like basically a few seconds as opposed to like 30 seconds before. But yeah, this is a good one. If you didn't know before, it costed a quarter of a key bar. So for every key bar you had, that would be 4 vanishes. So yeah. Skill count increased speed has been reduced when successfully performing a Z counter. So this is a big change that a lot of people wanted, so it's good that they listened. Revenge counter. Skill count consumed when using perception against revenge counter has been reduced from 2 to 1. I really do not like this. This is nerfing revenge counter, a mechanic in the game that was already not strong, right? Revenge counter was very situational in its utility, but now you make its counter even stronger. So it's like, okay, I use a revenge counter for 2 skill points. It should be fair that if you want to counter my revenge counter, that it costs the same amount, but now it costs only 1 skill point to counter my revenge counter. And it's like, you're gonna see later, they nerf instant spark to be like, let's say 3 skill points to now costing 4 skill points. A big part of my gameplay was using a revenge counter to bait them to use a perception to counter it, and then they spend 2 skill points. Now they could always perception my revenge counter pretty safely, because now it costs 1. It costs 50% of what it did to counter it. So I really do not like this. I really do not like this. So let me show you guys an example of what this is in case you don't know what they're talking about, perceptioning a revenge counter. Alright, get over here, Broly. Whoops. This. You can see how it costed me 2 skill points, and when I knock him back, it gives me a key bar. So it's very unfair for revenge countering, because revenge countering is not strong in the first place. And now to counter it, it costs half as much to counter it, and you gain a key bar off of it. So it's just like, revenge countering has now become useless, where revenge countering was a good counter to keep in the engagement and stop someone from using instant spark or switching their character. Now it's like, okay, you could revenge counter me, I'm going to stop it with a perception, and I'm going to get my instant spark off no matter what, or I'm going to switch my character no matter what now. So it's, I don't understand it. It's a bad change in my opinion. Rush attacks during sparking mode. Gradual damage reduction of consecutive hits has been increased. So this just means that damage scaling when in sparking mode for the rush attacks is going to be greater. So you're going to do less damage for that 20 hit, like 20 to 30 hit combo you're going to do. Combos. The final attack of aerial combos and aerial slash combos will no longer be interrupted by guarding. I'm not sure what they're talking about. Maybe they're talking about this. Like, you could block that, and what that is a knockback, right? The default aerial combo is this, where you just give them a hard knockdown, right? Yeah, the reason why I never use that knockback is because it's easy to block. You can just block it. And again, it seems like they want more of the combat to be knockback chains. So making that unguardable, so to say, is just making more knockback chains. And I'm not a fan of knockback chains. Maybe you guys are. I personally am not. But again, I'm not sure if that's what they're referring to. It's quite ambiguous. I think that's what they're referring to. Character switch. Health recovery rate of standby characters has been reduced. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this recovery rate reduced. Is this saying the amount of health you recover or how quickly you recover health? I am going to assume the amount of health you gain is reduced and not the rate of recovery. So maybe instead of recovering 10,000 health, which for reference, you do recover 10,000 health over the span of like 45 to 60 seconds. It depends on the character. You recover 10,000 health. So maybe they reduced it down to like 50% of that. So 5,000, unless they mean the rate of recovery. So maybe it'll take 90 seconds as opposed to 60 seconds to recover a full 10,000. This is quite ambiguous. I am not too sure. Yeah, again, it was translated from Japanese, so there could be some sort of misinterpretation going on here. But I do think this just means the total amount of health that you recover is now lowered. Z-Burst Dash. Giant characters. The tackle done by giant characters during Z-Burst Dashes is now guardable. So giant characters got double nerfed because Z-Burst Dash now costs more ki. Assumably 2 ki bars. On top of that, their Z-Burst Dash is now guardable. So yeah, giant characters are probably not going to be a thing in DP battle anymore. Their only use is super armor, I guess. Skill adjustments. Skills that cause instant sparking mode. Skill count consumed has been increased. So every instant sparking skill is increased by one skill. But it's like with the other things they buffed and nerfed, it's like this probably won't make a difference. Because a big thing that countered this was revenge countering to keep them in the engagement. Now they could just knock you back for half the cost, and that cost could just be goes into sparking mode. So it got neutralized, right? This costs more, but countering a revenge counter costs less. So it's just like, whoa, what were they thinking? I don't understand. Skills that increase stats in general. Skill count consumed has been decreased. This is a great change. I've been asking for a buff on the buff moves forever. So for example, Saiyan Soul, Saiyan Spirit, I think, Saiyan Soul, I'm not sure, costing 3 skill points now probably costs only 2. After Image Strike. Effect duration has been reduced to 10 seconds and will be removed if your opponent uses Perception while you are under the effect. So this is great. It's reduced to 10 seconds, but it was heavily nerfed. So if you get Perceptioned while using After Image Strike, it cancels your After Image Strike, which is a big nerf. This costs 3 skill points. That costs a lot. I don't think Perception should cancel it overall, because 10 seconds, that's a big nerf. Maybe they should have let you hit them while you have Perception. Maybe that's what they mean, that it will be removed, as in like you could hit them, but maybe it won't cancel the whole move. I'm not sure. Again, this was translated from Japanese. Yeah, I'm not an After Image Strike user. Maybe I'm a sympathizer for saying that Perception shouldn't remove the whole skill as a whole, but maybe it just means that you can hit them while you use Perception, because as of right now, only one Perception move could hit them. Maybe they changed it so that all Perception moves can hit them. False Courage. Skill count consumed has been increased from 1 to 2. That's a good nerf. Technique. All I need is 5 seconds, which is SSJ4 Goku technique. Skill count consumed has been increased from 3 to 2. Decreased, they mean, from 3 to 2, and status increase upon activation has been increased. Man, they love using the word increase, but I'm guessing gives greater buffs now, and yeah, it costs less to activate. Stardust Barrier, which I believe is SS Blue Gogeta's move. You can now activate while receiving melee attacks from the front. So it's like a half explosive wave now. There are so many skills they didn't acknowledge. What about Mystic Breath? Mystic Breath is so bad. They should give the same same thing to characters that have Mystic Breath. Maybe make it cost 2 skill points, because this is a rather strong thing, a combo breaker. So if you make Mystic Breath cost 2 and you could only use it from the front, then that's good. But Mystic Breath as of right now is kind of ass. Same with Paralysis Beams, right? Some Paralysis Beams are okay, but others are just so bad. Like Psychokinesis is so bad. They need to buff that. But no acknowledgement of it. None. So that sucks. Blast adjustments. Long range blasts and ultimate blasts. Speed has been reduced. So they're easier to vanish now. So that's... I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I don't really use my supers and ultimates, so I don't really care. But, yeah. Super Vegito, final Kamehameha. Ki consumed and damage has been increased. Don't know why. I don't know who asked for this. Goku Mini, Quick Rush. Trajectory can now be changed while rushing. I don't see why they care about that. Mr. Satan Present Bomb, increased ending lag after activation. I never noticed that. Yeah, these are... I mean, if it's fixing things, then that's great, but there are so many other supers in the game that need buffs or nerfs. Character adjustments. Android 19/Dr. Gero, health/ki amount absorbed on successful throw has been adjusted, so probably nerfed it. They probably don't freaking absorb like a third of your health. Dragon Dash, Quick Ascend, and Quick Descend now consume ki. This was a major issue with Android, so it's good that it consumes ki now. Second Form Cell, you can now escape the throw. This is a really big nerf to Second Form Cell. I mean, his throw was very strong, but you could avoid it if you just vanish his Gut Punch. And now that they nerfed Z-Burst dashing, he doesn't have the loop anymore, or he does, but he won't be able to use it as often. But I agree with this. This is a good change to Second Form Cell. The loops that he did was pretty strong and annoying. Cooler. Amount of health restored upon transforming has been increased. It's funny because my recent videos have been like talking about how bad Cooler is in his base form. So I guess they give him a whole health bar now, as opposed to just half a health bar. So that's a good buff. Quite a random one. I never thought they would acknowledge Cooler. Giant characters. Increase the time it takes to charge a smash attack and reduced its power. Yeah, their smash attacks were very strong. In sparking mode, it becomes unblockable and did 10,000 damage. I wonder if they're going to change that about the sparking mode properties. It's probably still going to be unblockable, but I don't know. Grade 8 Vegeta/Dr. Wheelo. Maximum health has been reduced. I wonder if they're going to give them 3 health bars or 3.5 health bars. Probably 3.5, which still... I don't think characters like Recoome and Nappa should have equal health to giants, right? Maybe I'm a giant character sympathizer here, but I think a better nerf to this would have been to just not give them so much freaking armor so that so that characters could do more damage to them, not just simply reducing their health. Yeah, but that's it for these patch updates, patch notes. Overall, it's a little weird. Oh, and with the character adjustments, it's crazy. No talk about Trunks or Sword characters having their weird Vanish War cancel, which I guess isn't a major issue now because Vanish Wars won't be as big of an issue, but we'll have to see. But even then, they could do their step-in mechanic on the very first Vanish. So they could just cancel and then combo you for free. And that's what made it so strong, is that as soon as you got a super counter off, that was a free combo for Sword characters. Of course, there were certain conditions, but I think like it was Z-Trunks in Super Saiyan form that could do it anytime, and it was a free combo, and it's very, very strong. So crazy how there's no acknowledgement of that. Maybe it was an intended mechanic. And there are other glitches in the game where they don't acknowledge. Like sometimes your combos won't connect. Like I'll be mashing my attack button and only 2 attacks come out, and then it just drops. Sometimes, like let's say if you do, like I showed you guys earlier, the the sidestep thing on the ground, it acts weird. There'll be times where let's say you try to do a sidestep flying kicks. The flying kicks won't connect. Or if you do flying kicks in general in the air, sometimes it'll be so awkward that it just doesn't connect, and your combo... There's so many glitches. When you switch a character in and then they do the double axe thingy, the double thing, when your character switches in, you could revenge counter that, and then it'll freeze your switched in character in place. Like, are they going to fix that? There are so many glitches in the game that needed acknowledgement, but not acknowledged. And I mean, I'm still gonna play the game even though there are glitches. Like, I really don't mind it that much, but like, instead of fixing that, they just nerf Z-burst dashing, which you guys know how I feel. I love my Z-burst dashing, so maybe I'm biased for this. Maybe you guys love this change. I just personally don't like it. Instead of fixing how buggy stepping can be, they just give it more iframes, which I don't get. But overall, there are some really good changes. I'm not happy with them not acknowledging the glitches. There are some characters that still needed changes. There are some skills that needed changes. I don't know why they nerfed Z-burst dashing. I do like that they change the way Vanish Wars work. Hopefully Vanish Wars won't be as bad. Countering Revenge Counter has now been reduced in cost by 50%, thereby nullifying whatever changes they made to instant sparking, in my opinion. Because now the biggest thing with Revenge Counter was that if you use the Revenge Counter, you can prevent getting knocked back. And why is that important? If you get knocked back, that's when they set up instant sparking, right? But now they could just knock you back for 1 skill point, and they also increased how much it costs to go instant sparking by 1 skill point. it basically evens out. I don't understand. And on top of that, if they don't want to use instant sparking, this counter gives them 1 skill. Well, I mean, not 1 skill, 1 key bar. So why did they do this? Revenge countering was so weak, and then they just buffed its counter even more. Like, I don't know why the devs think revenge countering is so strong, because I know in the tutorial they kept typing it up as if it's like the best combo breaker ever, when it's not. And now they're like, okay, we got to make the counter to a revenge counter even stronger now. Overall, I do like a lot of these changes, but at the same time, some of these changes were very unnecessary. And yeah. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed my ranting, like and subscribe. If you didn't, then let me know where you disagree with. Again, just disagree with me in a healthy manner. No need to be angry and insult me over a game. Have a good day, you guys.